with lots of ideas and suggestions for your peak trading strategies. Just some housekeeping before we start. If you can all just mute and keep your cameras off, just so that we avoid any background noise. And if you also want to pop up to your view mode in Zoom and select the gallery view, it'll just give you the optimum view for this. So you'll see Breige and I side by side during this conversation. Also, if you opt to select hide non-video participants, it'll just make sure it's the two of us that are appearing, just give you the best view of it. If you have any questions, if you want to hold those until the end and pop those into the chat, and we'll go through them and answer them once we come closer to the finish. I suppose most of you know me well at this point, but for any new member of our teams who are joining us here today, my name is Orla Cooney. I am operations with Magico, and I oversee the service delivery as we onboard retailers onto eCommerce for the first time, and once they're live, also to support them in their optimization and their growth services post go live. Later in this session, my colleague Eimear Kelly, many of you will know Eimear, she's a very experienced member of our customer success team. She will share with you some practical suggestions on functionality and the capabilities of eCommerce, all of which will support you to get the most out of peak trading. We'll be sharing a recording of this session, and we'll be following up with a number of emails over the coming weeks with lots of supporting documentation and more in-depth insights, knowledge, how-tos based on some of the strategies and what we'll chat about here today. So now to kick off, I'm delighted to welcome Breige Grogan from Little Rock Digital to join me in conversation. Breige is so passionate about all things retail. She brings huge value from her client-side experience before she started up her own business. Little Rock Digital provides a range of digital support and mentoring services to lots of Irish businesses, and we are delighted to have a very close working relationship with Breige, as she too contributes to our customer success services provided here by the team in Magico. So Breige, you're really welcome.
Thanks, Orla. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Great. We're going to bounce and explore some strategies and approaches, I think, that will hopefully resonate with the retailers and maybe provide retailers with some valuable takeaways that they can put into action now as we get closer to peak trading. So, Breige, where will we start? I suppose maybe we'll start with the whole concept of Black Friday itself. It's really only in Ireland, I suppose, for the last decade or so. And I think it's probably fair to say that the mechanics and the discounting strategies and even public perceptions and how brands have adopted to it, that has changed quite a bit over the last while. We've had the peak flash sales over the weekend. We've had the Green Friday strategies, and then even your premium brands maybe opting out because it doesn't align with their brand. So maybe we'll talk about where the market is at. Is it still a must-do for retailers, or maybe just how retailers should approach it as a strategy? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think in the space of time that Black Friday really exploded into the Irish market, there's been so much change really, and there's been change in the landscape, the retail landscape, the eCommerce landscape, and in consumer behaviour as well. So it really comes down to what the retailer, what they want to do and need to do themselves. But I suppose, advise that Black Friday, is a very valuable tool in the arsenal, but it's important for a retailer to think about what's best for their business and how they want to approach it. Consumers' behaviour has changed a good bit over that time as well. You do see consumers looking for their Black Friday deals earlier as well. So that, when Black Friday first came along and it was a big shopping holiday in the US and it was one day, that was mirrored online and everyone waited to go, on Black Friday itself. But in recent years, that trend has been creeping forward, earlier and earlier in the year, which I suppose I think is probably a good thing for retailers. Think about what you need from that period of time. Think about what sales you're trying to drive. And think about when to actually start.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the premium brands opting out as well. And I think that's obviously, a really key point to note. Premium brands and smaller brands as well have maybe chose to opt out or chose to do something slightly different, that's right for their business. And that's often due to either your brand position in the market, where you want to position yourself. Are you a premium brand? Do you not do discounting, the rest of the year? Do you really try and avoid it? Is that like a brand call, or do you have very low margins on your product? Is it something that you can't really do? So I think, and we'll have all seen it 2024. And, even a little earlier, the whole buzzword of the year in e-commerce terms is profitability. So like, I think being a numbers person and an e-commerce person, that can only be a good thing. The more retailers are looking at their profitability 12 months of the year, the better. But particularly when it comes to Black Friday, like what, do you need to drive from this? Your gross sales is only one metric in your whole arsenal of data. Your profit is so important. So when you apply that lens to Black Friday, it gives you even more sort of food for thought about, do I want to participate? Can I afford to participate? And if I am going to participate, how am I going to do it? Am I going to do a huge big discount across everything? Or am I going to be smart about it and tactical? So I think retailers, yes, it's important to participate and peak in all of the retail moments, but it's even more important to be smart about how you do it.
And Black Friday this year is coming quite late, isn't it? Like it's the 29th of November, right through to over that weekend into the 2nd of December, which will be interesting because a lot of your revenue is going to flow into your December e-com trading data then as well. And it's getting quite close to that pinch Christmas point, isn't it?
It is. Like, if you wait for the date itself, and I mean, some retailers won't wait, and like, I wouldn't advise waiting. I would say you're better off to, phase in your activity and ramp up and have different things happening. But if you are to wait for 29th, so that's like, 3 or 4 days later than it would have gone in previous years. So you're getting close to December there. So if you're waiting for that,
fulfillment to everything,
your peak trading, I suppose, your big blast, your big volume of sales, you're going to be having those in December, which, I mean, that's fine. If you have that big peak and you can be ready for that peak and you can manage it, then fine. But you're leaving November potentially exposed against target, so it's quite late. Then I suppose, and we know this as well from working so closely with the retailers, like how busy store is going to be at that time. So if you're pushing everything into December, particularly in a pharmacy retailer where you might have, people who are also working in store and they're also maybe packing orders and stuff, and everything's happening in December and store is busy, please God, that's creating an extra pressure there. So the operational side of it is quite difficult. And then December technically is a short month in e-commerce because depending on your fulfillment partner, you might have to cut off delivery. So there's that to think about. So it's a very compressed period. So I suppose I would advise to try and mitigate against that, either go early or start maybe the smaller promotions before that time, so it's not such a compressed period.
Planning is going to be key, really, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. It's really central.
So I suppose looking at that and looking at retailers planning for peak, maybe we might chat through maybe some of the things that they should be planning for now and to make the most of the peak trading period. So one of the things that I probably advise is to start by looking back, maybe start at looking back at what worked well, what didn't work well, and to do that in a very holistic way as well, across even, first of all, your acquisition channels. So what worked well in terms of paid advertising, social channels, email marketing? Where do you get the best return? Where do you get the most kick? You rightly made reference to the operational side. Planning for that, I think, it's really important. I think you coined the phrase, you're just going to sink the ship if it's not correct, when we chatted about this last week. And I think that's valid. That staffing in December, as you said, the staff's going to be so busy on the shop floor, but they're potentially going to be fulfilling so many online orders as well, and there could be a pinch point there. So how can you plan for that and resource for that? But I think there's a good point there about resourcing right now, and we definitely have seen it amongst our own retailers, ensuring that the key SKUs are online now for Christmas, because obviously failure to get those SKUs online will mean that you won't avail of all the opportunity during peak. So that's probably something that retailers should think about and make sure. I know that that's something that Little Rock Digital can provide some support and services around for retailers.
Yeah. So we would work. I suppose there's a couple of strands to our business. There's the strategy side where we support retailers, but then we also have an outsourcing kind of function as well, which what we're helping people with at the minute is work through backlog. So
Mm.
with, let's say if your business has got a seasonal range, like let's say it's a 30 SKUs of Christmas trees or electric lights or whatever it might be, or maybe it's seasonal gift sets or whatever, you need to get those on now, because the Black Friday searches are starting, Christmas gifting searches are all starting. If you look at the data, people are already searching, with cost of living prices, they're spreading out their shopping earlier. So, if you've got a backlog of seasonal product that needs to get online, and you don't have capacity in-house to get it all done, and get it up, we can support with that.
Yeah. Definitely something that I think some retailers might need to look at and give us a call if that's something that they need support on, and we can link them in. I think there's a big opportunity as well for retailers to kind of, in terms of planning, looking back at the catalogue and how it performed this time last year and knowing the catalogue. So we have an upgrade to our analytics module coming out, which has a date picker selection that retailers will be delighted to hear. We have a number of retailers piloting that at the moment, and there will be releases over the coming weeks, but being able to look back then to see, well, what were my top selling products? What were my top selling categories? What were my top selling brands last year? And even taking that data and being able to leverage that data with suppliers, maybe for better offers, I think it would be an important point. And then maybe looking at the products as well that didn't sell so well. So where did you miss out? Where can you take the learnings and the insights from that? Were you missing hero products? Were you out of stock early? Was it a pricing, a description, an imagery, or even your delivery point that just meant you didn't get the most out of that range? And that leads back to the merchandising point that you've made. Those quality descriptions and images are just so important to drive the conversion, also to avoid returns. And then obviously looking to this year as well, while you might be looking retrospectively, looking to this year, what are the trends? What are the hero products? Burgundy is the color of the season. Did you know that, Breige? I learned it this week. So call out to the shoe retailers there, get your comms together on some gather a nice product grouping there of all your nice burgundy boots and shoes, or sculpted by Amy. She's launching her lash lift. What's going on in the industry and what's hot right now, making sure that you have those. I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And just a point on this year, like last year, it's so critical to look back at last year and have that, especially for the operational side, to be like, okay, well, this is when, let's say, delivery cut off, and this is how many staff I had packing orders. But you hit the nail on the head there about this year. Your current run rate is so important for your operational side as well, because if you're tracking at 20% ahead of last year, for example, hopefully everybody is, that means you're going to be going through more orders. So, you could take that run rate data from your eCommerce dashboard, or even just calculate it yourself and work out off your average order value. What does that mean in terms of orders that are going to be going out? Like, the data is there. It's quick calculation, and then you'll actually know, well, I'm this much ahead of last year. That is X amount of orders. And can I get them out in time? So the last year data is brilliant and it's all there. But then if you can apply that growth in, that will give you a good picture of what to do for this year, for sure.
And then obviously stock, which feeds into that, where do you have your deep stock lines and planning for those? And I think, don't just stop the planning and just let it run. Monitoring your analytics during peak is really important as well, to know what your top sellers are, where are you getting a lot of views, but not a lot of conversion on product, and how can you address that? Is it an information piece? Is it a size guide? Is there something missing? Putting yourself in the customer's shoes is just so important. Even down to your traffic, is your budget restricting paid advertising?
Yeah.
Do you need to get another email marketing campaign or email campaign out there? So being reactive when you have a plan, I think it's easier to be reactive to the ad hoc opportunities as they arise.
100%, definitely. But it is hard to make the time for the KPIs when everything is going on. Like, you'll see the top line sales coming in, but it's really hard to also then make the time to be like, well, okay, well, how's traffic going and conversion rate as well? And that's a good one there about, let's say your traffic is not where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Or you're wondering, like, what happened yesterday? It was really quiet yesterday. Why is that?
Yeah.
look at your traffic. And then if you have a third party managing your paid search, your paid social, work really closely with them. They will be slammed as well at this time of the year. So the more information you can give them ahead of time, in terms of budgets, like do they have flexibility if there's something that's going well, if there's a campaign that's going well, but it's maybe budget restricted, like are you willing to say to them, yeah, okay, like, go an extra 20% or whatever, and give them that information ahead of time. That will help, because it's hard to stay, up to date with all the KPIs, but it is important. And then, as you say about email there, like, do you need to turn around a quick email? Is there something that you've maybe got late stock on? Is there something that you didn't get online in time, and you've got them, and you need to sell them now at full price because it's seasonal? Trying to be reactive by planning extra activity, and the data will help you, see if you can do that, and if you should do that.
Yeah, and I think it definitely, if we look at the retailers who are really successful on e-commerce, they are close to the data, they're close to the KPIs, they know the products that are selling well, the products that aren't, and they're spotting those opportunities, they're watching hero products. So it's definitely something to to keep an eye on. Discounting, Breige, it's kind of a dirty word, or it's a word that sometimes retailers aren't comfortable with, which I completely get, because who wants to be losing margin? But there was an interesting stat that says, that customers are far more likely to try a new brand that they've never heard of or bought from before during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period. So it's definitely a critical time for new customer acquisition. So there's pros and cons there of acquiring a customer at cost. And I know retailers, from talking to them, have different views on it. But our own view would be that if you have your retention strategies in place, that, you should be able to acquire a customer at cost. And while, yes, there will always be customers who will always just buy at discount, but there's definitely opportunities there to convert some of those customers into a loyal, repeat, full price customer.
Yeah. And that's kind of more of a, I suppose, data trend now, is to think about the long-term value of the customer.
Yeah.
So people will bounce around at Christmas time. They're shopping for people, not themselves. They're willing to try new brands, as you say, because that's that key time where everyone's advertising like mad. They're willing to try a new brand that they haven't heard of. So the discount probably is an important hook there.
Yeah.
But again, it goes back to profitability. What can you afford to do? What are you willing to kind of give up as a percentage of acquisition to acquire that customer, let's say? And then, are you doing a good job on the retention side? Are you then funneling them into your retention strategies that you have for your customers on site? Are you providing them a really good experience as well? When you have got that peak of orders and you've got that, I suppose, volume coming through on a new customer, are they seeing the best of you, at Christmas time? You need to make sure that they are. Is every order going out as beautifully as it would go out in June? That's a really important thing to think, because this could be a person's first time engaging with your brand. But yeah, just I suppose on discounts, I suppose that is one thing of the trends, really. When Black Friday first exploded into the scene, and particularly like apparel retailers were brutal for it. It was like the discount got bigger and bigger and bigger, and a lot of those businesses aren't around anymore, unfortunately. So the thinking had to get more scientific around, what level of discounting. Is it maybe more of a value add than a remove, like do you give something instead of take something off?
And I think it leads back into the point that you made there about the KPIs and knowing the numbers. Like, if you know what every retailer will have 60 or 70% of their revenue coming from a bundle of products, they're grade A products, it might be a really strong discount in one of those lines, or maybe you take the approach that they're lines that sell anyway, so I'm not actually going to go heavy on discounts there. Moderate discounts maybe in grade A products, and kind of scatter your discounts around other kind of grade B or grade C products. But it is, that said, it is easy to get lost in the noise of discounting. So having a really good, strong discount that will attract customers, building it into your comms, again, being planned around it, I think is important. But there's probably lots of creative ways as well to attract customers, that you don't just have to slash pricing. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, like one of the suggestions would be to create a bundle. So like, that's a good way of offering an attractive discount, but driving your average order value. Yes, you might be discounting a little bit on margin, but you're giving a lot, you're driving your average order value. So you're driving the revenue through the site. And it's back to the point about premium brands, or brands for which or that where Black Friday doesn't really align with their strategy. There's
Mhm.
probably an opportunity for retailers maybe to donate to a cause with every purchase, or maybe offer rewards through a loyalty program, or
Mhm.
maybe it's even down to the curation of products on the
Yeah.
site as well, helpful gift guides. Or another good suggestion that I saw was offering an online gift voucher as well with every purchase. You know, you're not actually giving away margin, but it's quite an
Yeah.
attractive offer that may not never actually be redeemed. So I
Mhm.
suppose the point being to maybe think outside the box and do what aligns with your brand, and don't
Mhm.
just go to slashing prices, because there are other creative ways going about it.
Absolutely. And I'd be a big believer in it's fine to exclude from the discount. Like if you want to do, a big highlight offer and it's 30% off everything or something, significant like that, it is fine to exclude, provided you're within the advertising rules, you've got X amount of SKUs at the top line discount. It is fine to exclude those best sellers or those low margin items, particularly, something that as you say, maybe you're going to sell anyway, or you can't go to that discount on. It's fine to selectively exclude. Now you don't want to destroy your offer either. You want to still provide a really good experience for people coming to your site, but it is important to be tactical.
I have a question for you, Breige, in relation to the comms calendar. You know, we preach it, we preach it all the time to our retailers, but I think there's probably a lot of retailers who don't have a dedicated 12-month comms calendar that's holistic across all channels. There definitely is some, but probably not everybody. But I think we really advocate that retailers consider and plan for something like that over the next 4 months. And maybe, do you want to talk to us about what retailers need to consider in that?
Yeah, I would preach it heavily, and like we'd even run it for some retailers, we're actually just like doing it for them or whatever. But even if you don't do it the rest of the year, or you're doing a very high level version of the rest of it the rest of the year, now is the time to think about quite a significant effort into your calendar planning. So it serves like a few purposes. It obviously, keeps you on track operationally within your team. Everybody knows what's happening, what campaigns are happening when the peaks will be, and what to expect, when the change outs are going to happen, when the actual individual marketing pieces need to be ready for. But then the other side of it is, if you are working with a third party, like a paid search or paid social provider, they don't have a magic wand. They can't drive your sales for you. And in really blunt terms, they actually can't hit your sales targets for you in peak without that support. So if you've done a bit of work on the planning, give that to your agencies and give them as much information as you can, because they aren't going to be able to hit your targets for you without knowing what your campaigns are, what your ad copy should be, if you're what you're doing for Black Friday, they need to know all of that ahead of time. So spend a little bit of time getting the calendar ready is worth it. And you can align that then with what your stock is, what you've got good stock on, what campaigns you want to do. And that's the ladder, I suppose, to helping you hit your targets. So the macro view in terms of campaigns and all that is really important. So that's an absolute must. But then within that, providing where your emphasis is within marketing, be that social, be that email or whatever it is, but on-site activity, you could step down another level and have a detailed calendar for your social, for example. Particularly if you are an organization where there's a few people maybe doing your social. Let's say the store staff on a Saturday maybe record a load of stories and it goes out through the week. There's maybe different people touching off it. If you plan that well, it takes that pressure off, and it makes the quality then will go up. So it's really important, to have that, to spend that thinking time, and plan it against your product and against what you're trying to drive in terms of sales. It's a homework task, but it is worth it.
It is, yeah. And you can see the retailers who do the homework, they really do benefit from it, because you just really have that opportunity, and where it's an afterthought, you're just never going to reach your potential. So we do have comms calendar templates and that we might just follow up with after this webinar, in the series of documentation that we'll share over the next coming weeks, that might help retailers in planning and kind of putting together that comms. And I think, can't stress enough, I see it quite a lot where retailers are not really engaging on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, or sharing their plans with the digital marketing agency that's executing on their behalf. So that's really, I think that's really important point to stress. And talking about, I suppose, digital paid advertising, and you're going to be spending a lot to acquire customers. So just considering then your retention strategies. at the other end of it, and how you actually make the most of that new customer that's hopefully going to purchase from you during peak. So I suppose there's lots of little tips and tricks. Email would probably always be your key pillar in that regard. And I think Eimear is going to speak more about that in terms of practical sense in a few minutes. But the importance of even having warming sends, so that if you are paying to acquire a customer to the site, even if they don't purchase from you, that at least you're gathering their email address and you're warming them over a period of time, that hopefully they will come and purchase and hopefully be a repeat customer. But lots of opportunities then around your loyalty systems, or even if you don't have a loyalty system, make the customer feel special, make them feel important. By capturing an email address and giving them early access to sales, make them feel part of that community, and building loyalty through community, I think is an interesting point as well, and some that might align with some of the retailers on the platform. We actually have a good practical session on that from, I think, last year's summit, that we might reshare that. So something to think about as well, lots of tips and suggestions in that. But other things that I've maybe seen as a shopper myself, being, your box is packed by, having that in the box, I think that's a lovely way of engaging the customer. I think online can often be very anonymous, so trying to bring across the personality and the personal note maybe from an owner, using an image, maybe even a signature, just to bridge that gap, and or a follow-up email as well in your automated flows, maybe in January, when things have died down a little bit, just saying thank you to the customer, that how much your support means to our business during peak and how much we value your business. So they were just some thoughts. I don't know if you had any more there, Breige, on the importance of that.
I think there's a lovely point there around email. Like, email is a wonderful sales tool, and it's such a good, direct response sales tool, but it's also a chance to communicate in maybe a non-sales message, like follow up with, a piece of content that's not trying to drive a sale, that's just a thank you, is really lovely. The other thing with Christmas and this time of the year is it is a really lovely time to do a surprise and delight, something that someone wasn't expecting. You've got the data available to you to isolate or identify your top customers, be that the people who spent the most regularly, and you will find that particularly in certain sectors of retail, you'll have the same people coming back month on month to maybe repurchase that box of vitamins that they bought, all year long. So it's a chance to maybe think about those people and just surprise and delight. Like, it's kind of the term for it, but it's an unexpected offer, maybe it's an email, maybe it's an exclusive discount for those people, maybe it's a small hamper for your top 10, particularly if you're, let's say, a retailer in a regional area that's really well known and you've got really regular customers, and you could even expand that out to the people that come into your store. You might know those as well offhand. It's a time to really surprise and delight and build that relationship, and that's true retention, when someone feels like they're being valued by the brand, and it's one of those little extra ones, but the data is there to do it. It doesn't have to be something that's super expensive. It's an unexpected surprise, and it can be really, really effective, particularly at this time of the year.
Absolutely. Breige, I think we could talk all day about all of this, but I'm very keen, very conscious that Eimear is in the wings. I suppose there's lots of great ideas, lots of great little tips there that if retailers want to, hopefully will resonate with some retailers and they might take them into their practice. But if you want to chat through anything, I suppose, that we've mentioned, feel free, I suppose, call out to the retailers to reach out to us, to call us here at Magico, and we can link you in with Little Rock Digital and with Breige for additional support. It really is a busy time. It can be a very daunting time. So reach out now and let us help you or support you in any of the questions that you might have. Again, coming back to the resourcing issues, I know staff is a real challenge for a lot of retailers. So reach out and let us know if that's a problem for you. And just a reminder as well that we're recording the session. We'll be following up with lots of different emails, just supporting all of the data. So thank you very much, Breige.
Thanks so much, Orla, and
really
best of luck, everyone, over busy period.
Always great to chat. And so if you want to just turn off your camera and microphone, and I'll introduce Bear with me now. I'll introduce Eimear, who's going to share with you lots of top tips on how to actually use the eCommerce platform, the capabilities of the eCommerce platform to really drive your sales during this period. Eimear, you're just on mute there, so if you want to unmute.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
Hi everyone, thanks very much for the introduction, Orla. So as Orla said, I'm going to go through some of the top tips that we would have for you to plan for the peak period. So a lot of it will be almost echoing what Orla and Breige have just discussed, but we can go through it now. So the first thing that we want to talk about is how to optimize your product detail page. And we can do that through a number of different features that are available on the site at the moment. The first one being, as Orla mentioned earlier, creating a bundle. So this is a new feature that's available on the platform since last year. Again, a great way to offer your customers a promotion while also increasing your own average order value. So it's a win-win on both parts. The next is upselling add-ons. So it's in the name, you know, the upselling. Great way to, again, increase your average order value. Here, you know, you just, for example, if you have a product detail page for something like fake tan, you could offer the customer the option to quick add the fake tan mitt that goes with that fake tan, or the moisturizer. Or, you know, if you were selling a drill, you could also offer the drill bits or any other accessories that are going to go with that. So complementary products that a customer is most likely looking for, and you've just helped them by making it easy to buy from you, by having everything right in front of them and they're not trawling through the site. So the third is a stock warning. This is a great way to kind of create urgency for your customers. So a great way, you know, to show only 2 left, only 1 left, shop now, telling them basically that if you come back tomorrow, there's a likelihood that this product might not be available. So you better buy now. The next one will be the related products in different colors and sizes. Similar to upselling add-ons, it's putting a product in front of the customer that they most likely are looking for without having them to, you know, visit multiple pages around the site. So related products with different colors and sizes, this is just showing the customer, maybe if they're looking at a lipstick, that you can say, here's that color, here's that lipstick in another shade, here it is in, you know, from another brand or anything like that. So again, just showing them all of the products that they're already looking for, but putting them right in front of them. Then we have a max order quantity. So this is great if you have those products that sell out really quick. Maybe they're your hero products, and you know they might be hard to restock again, and you don't want customers coming on the site and buying multiple at the time. So you can just put a max order quantity on the item, so that just prevents customers buying all of your stock all at once. We have out of stock email alerts. Breige and Orla talked a lot about customer retention, and you know, out of stock email alerts are a great way of retaining a customer. If someone has visited your site and they saw something that they like, but maybe you didn't have it in stock, giving them the option to get an email when it is coming back in stock will just help make sure that maybe they will come back, and then they can purchase from you when the item that they're looking for has returned. We then have version images. So again, back to letting the customer see exactly what they want without having to look too far. Version images are a great way of having them click on the version that they're looking for and then showing them the picture, where they're not trying to Google it themselves or, you know, figure it out themselves or anything like that. And then the automated free shipping icon. Everybody loves free shipping. You know, we always joke about it and say that I prefer to spend €10 more than pay €5 extra shipping. So if there's a product, if you have a free shipping threshold on your site, make sure that if there's a product that surpasses that free shipping threshold, you know, that then icon will automatically appear on that product. So that will just tell the customer, if you buy this, you're automatically going to get it shipped for free. So some of you might be familiar with these companies here. So Stripe, Celebras, Nastos, Segmentify, Trustpilot. Some of them touch on, you know, social proof. Some others are reviews. Some others are search. If you have, and these are the third-party integrations that we have with eCommerce. And if there are any of these that you are, if you have these on your site, now is a good time before peak to, get in touch with your account manager and make sure that you're optimizing this account, make sure that you're making the most of this feature on your site, especially in time for peak. So the next thing we want to look at is how to optimize your checkout. So the first tip we would have here is activating Home. So Home is a flexible payment platform which allows customers it provides customers with like a payment plan. So this is a great way to get rid of the buyer's doubt when looking at a higher ticket item, because it's giving them the option that you don't need to pay for it all now if the cost of something was a doubt in purchasing. So it's just a great thing to have on your site to, again, increase your average order value with these higher ticket items. So then we also have the tip to enhance your customer experience through multiple shipping choices. So maybe you're just offering standard shipping and standard shipping and click and collect at the moment. Have a look at this. See, is there any way that you can offer express delivery? Is there which next day delivery, or is there any way you can offer local delivery? Explore these options and see, is there something else that you could offer the customer? And then we now actually have Google Pay working on Stripe from the final page of the checkout. And what we hope is to have Apple Pay in this location very soon. So we are underway with testing of both Google and Apple Pay options from the basket page for the Stripe payment gateway. And we currently have the Google Pay and Apple Pay available from the final pay of checkout for AuthiePay. So we already have a number of retailers who have activated this, but if you are using AuthiePay or Stripe, let us know if this is something that you would like activated on your own checkout. You can just either email, you can email us on our at helpdesk@magico.com. So the next we want to look at are our conversion tactics. So as Orla and Breige spoke about as well a while ago, is your curated product list. So, have you created a product list that that your buyers, your customers are going to love, and is something that they're interested in? You can look at this by analyzing last year's analytics and your previous year's analytics, seeing what products were selling, seeing what products weren't selling, and trying to, push those products that really were in, to make sure that you're stocking up on the products basically that always sell well. We then have the countdown widget promotion, again, another way to create, a bit of urgency for your customer. One point that we would make about the countdown widget is we would make sure that if you have a promotion in place, that's when you would put on the countdown widget. So, you don't want to have the countdown on before your promotion is going to be on, because that's just going to tell customers, by the way, we have a sale next week, come back and don't come back until then. And that's what I'd do as a customer. If I saw that there was a big sale on, I'd wait until that was on. So have it on while the promotion is on, saying, 7 days left in promotion, shop now. So then we have another tip we have is back in stock emails. And I think we touched on this a while ago, but just to make sure that, again, you're retaining that customer and you're providing them the option to buy the item that they've been looking for before. And another way to retain customers is abandoned basket emails. We've all been there, whether we didn't have our card on or maybe we got distracted by something at home, and we had items in our basket and we just left it. And we might have just gotten distracted with social media, whatever it is. So sending a customer an abandoned basket email just to tell them, just be reminded you do have products in your basket. Is this something that you want to purchase? And it'll sometimes bring the customer back to your site. So review your shipping terms. So as I mentioned earlier, have a look at what you can offer, and if there's anything that have a look at what you're offering at the moment and see, is there anything that you can do to improve this? So see, are you offering free shipping and next day delivery? If you're not, is this something that you can do? What are your delivery timelines? At the moment, are they 5 to 7 days? See if you could improve that to 1 to 3 days or 3 to 5 days. And then with saying that, the under promise and over deliver. So it's always best to impress your customers when they weren't expecting their package to be delivered so quickly. And also last dates for Christmas shipping. So these could be down to your courier and down to your own business needs as well. So have a look at when this is, and then put a plan in place on how you're going to communicate this to your customers to let them know you have to have your orders by a certain time, because if you don't, then they won't be able to be shipped for Christmas. So promotions, which is what was also spoken about heavily, but when you are setting up a promotion, it's really important to set up and test it. So you want to make sure that it's working and that it's going to be working for the customer as well. So when you're setting it up, go find the product that you've discounted, make sure that you can see the was now price, make sure that there's promotional text on it, and make sure that it appears as the way that you intended to have it set up. Test putting it into the basket and everything like that. Then we also have, as well as promotions, we also have promo codes and single-use promo codes and multi-use promo codes. So again, it's in the name. Single-use are disposable, so a customer can only use these once, which are more favorable for a lot of retailers, because the multi-use promo codes can be used as many times as you want. Then we also have the free gift promotion. So this is something we have recently enhanced on our promotions module, and we will be providing more specific detail on this on the capabilities of this in communications over the next week or so. But if this is relevant to your business, then do let us know, and again, email us at helpdesk@magico.com. And the last point there would be to have your graphics ready. So if you have graphics for your promotions, have these ready, have them ready for your social media, have them ready for your emails, and have them ready for your website as well. So that, as soon as one promotion is over, you're ready for the next one you're ready for the next banner to go in its place. And then, when it's over, you're ready for it to be taken down and the next banner to go up again. And, you want to be making sure that the site is always updated as well. So 3 points to make sure is operations ready. Have you made sure that you have an area to pick and pack orders, and that everything is in line to be ready for the peak season in store? Then your customer service. Sometimes when things are really, really busy, customer service can be the part that gets fallen down. So make sure that there's a person there to pick up on the customer service. If you have live chat, if you have people messaging you through your social media or email, make sure that there's someone there that can answer them, because you are going to have you might have a lot more new customers at this time. So you even if they've had an error, if there's something's gone wrong, you want to make sure that they're still having a good customer experience with you, so that they want to return and shop again, even if a package was late or something was broken, that you're always being there to attend to that customer. And the last then is resourcing. So the other two aren't possible unless you have sufficient resourcing. So whether that's resourcing on the shop floor so that someone else can go online and help pick and pack orders, or you're hiring someone to, as Breige mentioned, to help you put all of these SKUs on the site for the peak period, so that you're prepared, or if you have someone there to do your customer service. But really good to make sure now that you're planning how much resourcing you're going to need for this period. Then we're going to talk about email marketing. So another topic that was spoken about earlier, and how important it is again for retaining the customers that you might have gained through your paid search or your paid socials. So you want to be making sure that if a new customer is coming to your site, that you're capturing their emails. So you can do this by ensuring that the pop-up has been set up and is working, and it's collecting those emails from new customers, and it's all being collected. The next is to plan your content and graphics. So I mentioned this a while ago too. Really important to make sure that you have your marketing calendar, you have your content calendar, and that you already have your emails and your social media and all your marketing in this calendar, so that when it comes down to sending it it's just a matter of putting all the graphics together and the copy in the email and sending it off. At this time, you know, you're going to be so busy doing everything else that trying to figure out how to do the best graphics really isn't the priority. Personalize and segment. So after going through all of this effort, you want to make sure that your customers are opening the emails, and by personalizing them and segmenting your audience, it's a great way to make sure that customers are opening these emails and that they're interested in what they're receiving. Again, we touched on abandoned baskets and why they're great for retaining customers. So it's a great thing to just make sure that they're set up. Promotion teasers. So it's always good to send maybe an email. Orla mentioned a while ago, it's for customers that are on your email mailing list, that they're getting this incentive to be the first to hear about sales or promotions that are on. So, you know, sending these promotion teasers to your mailing list is a good way to make sure that these customers that have already shopped with you are in the know that there's going to be a sale on, so that they can return and shop again. So review your automated flows. You know, if you have automated flows set up on your email mailing platform, review these, make sure that the graphics are updated, that they're not, you know, that they're seasonal, and see if you can add automated flows such as thanking a customer for their order. Are you sharing your social media with them, and are they getting emails once they've signed up to your email mailing list, and also once they've made an order, and maybe with asking them to review, or asking them for any feedback or anything like that. Then we have email outlining delivery deadlines. So again, we spoke about this too. So you want to make sure that you're communicating with your customers that there is going to be a deadline for delivery around the peak time, and that you've had this outlined to them in an email and on your socials, so that they're aware that they have to shop for a certain date in order to get their package. So that is everything that I wanted to go through with you today. I know that there is a lot there, and I hope I didn't bombard everyone with too much information, but we will be going, you know, over the next few weeks, we'll be sending out a number of emails just on each topic that I spoke about there.
Thanks very much, Eimear. Lots of great advice there. And as Eimear said, yeah, we'll be following up with lots more information over the next couple of weeks, and sharing some of the documentation and maybe even some summit recordings and various different elements to kind of expand on any of those topics. So thank you all for joining us today. I don't think we have any questions in the chat. Is there any questions that anyone wants to pop in there? And if there isn't, don't worry, you know where we are, and we'd be happy to hear from anybody. You can reach out to Eimear, you can reach out to myself, you can reach out to Help Desk, and we'd be more than happy to talk to any of you over the next couple of weeks. You know, really do encourage you to act now. Planning is key, and just so that you can get the most out of the peak trading season. So I don't think there's any questions there. So we might just, we'll finish on that. I'd like to say thank you to Breige for her contribution and the early part of the webinar. And thank you also to Eimear for a very good run through of eCommerce and the top tips for peak trading. We'll be providing a recording of this session, and we look forward to chatting to you all over the coming weeks. Take care, everyone. Thank you.